Live. Welcome back to Talk Talk Live, ladies and gentlemen. We are here in the house and full of life. Yes, indeed. All right, we are back and live. Yes. Now, thank you very much for joining me for Talk Talk Live. Oh, let me get that out of the way. That's a bit silly. Right. Yes, indeed. Back again on Talk Talk Live. Let me just move the camera like so, and here we go. On IG, on YouTube. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me after this scorching weather here in the city of Toronto. Today was hot. Was super, super hot. I think the hottest day in a while here. Not only was it hot, it was humid. It was Florida weather. It was Jamaica weather. It was Caribbean weather. It was Mediterranean on a hot day sort of weather. It was hot and humid at the same time, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you, were wearing your sunscreen, number one, if you're outside. Number two, I hope you got a nice little walk out there because it's nice and cool. But there's a bit of storm showers out there. So again, I'm glad it came when it did because it just cooled off things a bit. But welcome back to Talk Talk Live. Welcome back. I am hot and here and ready to be clear. I'm in air-conditioned weather. Thank goodness. Air-conditioned environment, so I don't have to be sweltering like I did at the office when I went yesterday. Yesterday was an absolute scorcher. I had my rag in my hand, literally cleaning my face at every beck and call, quite simply, after things. Hello, Chanel, how are you? Good to see you. Scarborough Shoot Stars Friday Pan Am. Oh, right. Shooting Stars Friday Pan Am. Is that basketball? It must be basketball. It must be that Canadian Basketball League. If I'm right, tell me I'm right or tell me I'm wrong. But one thing I'm right about is my hair. It's growing back again. It is getting that Paul George look that I've been looking for so long, and it's back. Thank goodness. The short hair days are over. I am clamor. Yes, DeVoe. Okay, DeVoe. Okay, your son's playing with the Scarborough Shooting Stars. Okay, fair enough. Okay, well, good to see. He is playing. Okay, he is playing. There you go. So, thank you, Chanel, for the announcement that your son is playing basketball in the Canadian League. That's a good level. That's a very, very good level. But speaking of levels, I'm speaking of different levels. I'm watching in the background the Copa America, Argentina versus Canada. Canada's given a good account of themselves against the world's best team, many say, because of their World Cup win last year. And they're holding Messi down for some reason. No Diddy. And we're doing giving a very, very good account of ourselves. But I know Argentina is going to come back with a vengeance. They don't want to be embarrassed like the French were last week. So shout out to the Canadian soccer team for doing very, very well today, actually. And I hope you all have been watching the Euros. I have. They have been mighty fantastic. If you like your soccer, you like your football, the real football, you would enjoy the Euros that are on right now. They are very good watch, actually. So, yes, all is well and good there. But let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're enjoying yourselves. Like, subscribe, comment on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Thank you to my friend, Lana BK, who came out last week for the show. Gidato, you missed her. Gidato, thank you very much for joining me on Talk Talk Live. You missed her. She was in studio. Last week for a very, very spirited debate of Modern Women Endgame Part 2. That was very, very excellent. But she will be back in due course, ladies and gentlemen. But that was our highest rated show. I dare not tell you the ratings because we are still a burgeoning thing, but that was our highest rated show, quite simply, and it literally jumped. It doubled our subscriber numbers, and yes, thank you very much for everyone joining me today. So nice, I did it twice, ladies and gentlemen. I getting back into the show. I went across the YouTubes this week, and lo and behold, a person who I haven't really had a discussion with today for the last few bit of time. Yes, the Crimson Cure came out with pretty similar a topic to what I was discussing last week. And let me say this, her breakdown of things was excellent. Yes, F1 racing. Oh, you were in Montreal last week, Gidato. Okay, I was, I was down there. Let me just give a quick story there. I was down there for yes, when Lewis was Lewis. Lewis Hamilton, that is. When Lewis was Lewis. When Sir Lewis Hamilton, let me say that. Sir Lewis Hamilton was Sir Lewis Hamilton down in Montreal, pre-pandemic. I went down there in 2019 because the girlfriend at the time, her sister was working for Castro, one of the sponsors of the race in Montreal. And let me say this, it was VIP treatment all the way, and yeah. If there's any time to visit Montreal, as you did, Gijato, it is during the F1. It is during that time because the parties are better, the food is greater, the people are nicer, the weather is greater, and quite simply, I enjoy myself immensely. I'll never forget my time there in Montreal in 2019 when Lewis was indeed Lewis. And yeah, so I hope you had a great time there, Gijato. But getting back into the subject matter. Yeah, Crimson Cure had a breakdown of that I would like to discuss here tonight in a topic named Modern Woman Endgame Part 2 featuring Eboni K. Williams, ladies and gentlemen. It was such a great breakdown. I had to bring it to you firsthand. We're gonna have another show tomorrow night on Talk Live. A little shorter show, but anyways, a good show I'll just give you a preview of when a adult entertainee wants to become a wife, and how indeed she went about that, yeah, it was under sinister circumstances, very, very copious circumstances, which I don't recommend. Crimson Cure is my gal. Indeed, she is my gal as well. So we're going to get into things here on Talk Live on IG and YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Crimson Cure, let me say this about Crimson Cure. Crimson Cure is one of, the great providers of information and entertainment here on YouTube, especially to the male experience, especially to the red pill, especially to the trad cons out there, especially to the men who like to protect and provide out here on YouTube. And her breakdown of the Eboni K. Williams saga and its actual denouement is simply fantastic. So we're going to get that here on Talk Live tonight. Or let me just get into, before I do that, let me go back. Before I do that, let me get in my browser. There we go. We have done that now, so let me go back now. We are back. Good. And let's name this post here, this video, Single Motherhood by Choice is Still a Baby Mama, featuring Eboni K. Williams. I thought it was fantastic. We're just going to get right into it, and we're going to, basically chat about her viewpoints, which I think are seriously on point tonight on Talk Live. Thank you very much for joining me. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. We are back again, and we are sponsored by Duntalk, DUNTALK.com. Spring Summer line out now. Let me say by that Spring Summer line, it's about as good as this. You know what I'm saying? It is excellent. So I will continue to promote that wonderful company, and do get out there. DUNTALK.com, ladies and gentlemen. But let's get into this. Here we are again. Let me get on the big screen. Yes, it's Single Motherhood by Choice featuring Eboni K. Williams, and I'll let Crimson Cure take it from here.
Battery 100%.
Owner, I heard his voice. Mm-hmm. I have an MP3 file of him telling his own life story. Mm-hmm. Why you felt you wanted to donate.
Let me go back for a second, because I want you to get the full synopsis of what she had to say.
We might as well jump right into this. Now we gonna jump right into this. You tell me what's wrong.
Owner, I heard his voice. Mm-hmm. I have an MP3 file of him telling his own life story. Mm-hmm. Why you felt you wanted to donate. And this was important. His willingness to be contacted when my child turns 18. Mm-hmm. So when my daughter's 18 years old, if she would like to find out her paternal identity, as I wanted to do when I was 38, mm-hmm. she doesn't even have to wait that long and go through all that rigmarole that I had to do, hire a geneticist.
In other words, share the blame. She wanted to distribute blame. Yes, indeed. I will indeed do that, Lana BK. Actually, I will do that. Get onto that right away. But again, thank you very much for your comment in terms of the support for my sponsor, DoneTalk.com. But yes, she in that little concept, that little comment there, she wanted to share the blame among the two parents, the two providers here. That being Ebony K and her surrogate and her sperm donor, who she heard on an MP3. Now you think that a drink and maybe 6 months of getting to know each other would have done the trick, but no, she wanted instantaneously. So again, she decided, hey, I'd rather just hear MP3, and then I will share the blame going forward. You know what I mean? So that I and my choice isn't the only reason why you need to hate me in future. Anyways, let's continue this.
His higher up detective. Here is his last known address, and he is anticipating your contact.
Yep.
Childhood photos, adult photos, keepsake, essays from him, from the nursing staff, first impression, what he does for a living, his educational background,
She could have done all this on her own, ladies and gentlemen. But she didn't want to take the time to do it. She'd rather leave it to someone else. So all she need to do is come in, take the cup, inseminate herself, get on with life. Because she don't want the legwork. She don't want the hard work. She'd rather have the wedding day rather than the marriage life. In so to speak. Let's go.
SAT. I mean, it's just a litany. So for me, it felt like a much safer choice.
Yeah.
It felt like a more legally astute choice. It gives me much less exposure, risk and exposure. My donor, I've heard his voice. So I have an MP3 file of him telling his own life story, why you felt you wanted to donate. And this was important, his willingness to be contacted when my child turns 18. So when my daughter's 18 years old, if she would like to find out her paternal identity, as I wanted to do when I was 38, she doesn't even have to wait that long and go through all that rigmarole that I had to do. Hire a geneticist, hire a detective. Here is his last known address.
Why not hire a dating coach? Why not hire a man to help you out in the dating process? Rather than a geneticist and an IVF expert. Just saying.
And he is anticipating your contact.
Yep.
Childhood photos, adult photos, keepsake, essays from him, from the nursing staff, first impression, what he does for a living, his educational background, his SATs. I mean, it's just a litany. So for me, it felt like a much safer choice.
Yeah.
It felt like a more legally astute choice. It gives me much less exposure, risk and exposure. My donor, I've heard it.
Here we go.
Couldn't you have just got a man? You couldn't just get a man? That's a baby daddy. I thought one of the points of going to a sperm donor was to not have to involve the man that donated the sperm. You can look at a dossier to get an idea of where the sperm is coming from, and he want to see the daughter when she turned 18. That's a baby daddy, ma'am. That's a baby daddy. Let's see. A disconnect. Check. Y'all not together. Check. He's uninvolved with the raising of the child. Check. And he only want to be contacted. He's only willing to be contacted by the child when they are
18.
grown.
Yeah, 18.
so that he don't have to really deal with the rearing part of it. Check. And somehow this is not a deadbeat. This is not only your baby daddy, this is a deadbeat baby daddy that we just described. If for all of that effort, couldn't you have just got a man?
Truth be told, couldn't you have just got a man? Couldn't you have got a dating coach? Could you have got a matchmaker? Could you have got... Well, she's already fit. Could you have got some counseling, some therapy to make yourself ready for a man? No, she didn't think so. But what she was really doing was carrying on tradition. Because, you see, Eboni K. Williams is the progeny of a single mother herself. So she is literally carrying on tradition. Her mama was a single mother. She fought long and hard to get her into a space where she could be a wife. But she didn't do the due diligence. And now she's carrying on tradition. I have a question here from Chanel. Would you be open to be doing a matchmaker business? You know what? It takes a lot of patience and real planning to do that sort of thing. It's not outside of the realm of possibility. But again, I like what I'm doing right now. But in terms of offering advice while on this show, if things go, into a better vein, then yes, maybe that would be possible. But right now, I am happy doing the good Lord's work. But let me say this. Eboni K is just carrying on tradition. She was taught in the ways of single motherhood. She was never taught in the ways of being a man's wife because there was no man there. So she felt that she was above any reproach. And so she said, you know what? I'm 38. I'm tired of having to date. I'm tired of having to maybe get therapy or get a matchmaker or get a dating coach. Any of these things. And let me go about it alone. Like my mother. The fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. That's what my mother taught me. The fruit never falls far from the tree. So if your mother made it as a single mom, why can't you? Why can't you? Why can't you make it on your own? And so she did. She paid about $80,000 to $90,000 in IVF treatment, and that was it. But let's let Crimson Cure tell it.
You can get a man. Because that's a lot of effort. Like I said, I thought the point of going the sperm donor route was to not have involvement of the father. The person that donated the sperm doesn't want to be bothered. They don't have any legal tie to anything, which I do believe that's still the case here. But what I want to hear his life story from. He still was a bus driver.
Oh, something went wrong there, guys. Sorry about that. Hold on just one moment. Let me get back to things. Here we go. Oh, there she is. She's back.
I would love to know what he did for a living. If he was a blue collar worker, that would just sing me. If he was a blue collar man. But you went through a lot of effort don't you think that girl gonna need that man? before she turned 18, she gonna need that man. She need that man.
If she wants to break generational curses, then yes, she does need that man. She does need that man. She literally does need that man. If her daughter does not want to repeat the same process, the same mistakes as Eboni K did, then yes, she would need a man. She can't do it on her own. It's not as if she's a superwoman. She said, no, I can make this right. I'll make my daughter ready for a man. No. It goes to show that your formula has failed you. Has literally failed you. It literally failed Eboni K. Williams. It failed her mother. So what's one way of breaking the cycle? What's one way of not making the same mistake again? What's the one way to stop the insanity? Because that's what it is. Well, add another agent to the mix. That being a man. Have your child be obedient to manhood. Be open and accessible to manhood rather than be abrasive to it. That's one way of breaking the curse. Because remember, Eboni K, though raised totally fine, was raised in the ways of the, well, listen, to one of my listeners, plug your ears. She was raised in the ways of the gynocracy. Okay? Let's face facts. She was raised in the ways of the gynocracy. And with that, it told her that she was superior to men. She did not need men in order to give her the life. And when she was ready for a man, they'll come running because of her beauty. They did come running because of her beauty, but they didn't stay. They left because of her attitude. Quite simply. They left. And not only just black men, because I know, people come to me saying, oh, it's black. All men left her. She tried every man. All men left her. And you'll recognize a theme throughout the night here. All of these, the women that we have featured tonight, the men and all men tried, but they all left her. We have a few comments here. We got it going on here. Let me see. Here. Yes. We have a few here. Yes, Gidato. My youngest sister is a superb wife, and she is coming from the same single mother household I came from. Okay, well, some people would take that knowledge on board. They would. But clearly Eboni K. Williams did it. And clearly your sister took time to do the necessary work. She humbled herself to be exalted. Thank you very much for sharing that, Gidato. My sister is also a superb mother to my nephew, bro. Okay, fantastic. Fantastic. That's what listen, let me say this. It's not as if it's out of the realm of possibility that we can have success stories. I never rule it out. I would never rule it out. Some people will take the bait and some people won't. Some people will take the education. Some people will learn from generational curses. Some people will learn. But clearly Eboni K. didn't. That's totally clear. But thank you for sharing me with that, Chanel. My story is different. My mother married 3 times. She had no man till she was 18. She had no man till she was 18. Well, that's not long. Thank you very much for sharing that, Chanel. She had no man till she was 18. Yeah, okay. She was married 3 times. Well, yeah. Well, it's a clash of personalities. But the fact of the matter is, she didn't give up on love. She didn't give up on manhood. What else we got here? I think this is the way to go. Let me see. Having a man present doesn't equal a child being a productive member of society. That goes without saying, yes, indeed. But it does. It actually enhances it. 80% of those in prison came from single mother homes. Let me turn this away. 80% of prisoners came from single mother homes. Men keep women off the pole and men out of what? Jail. So thank you very much for that comment, Lana BK. We are also talking about child rearing as if this mom is about to be on food stamps, not taking care of her child. She will be, but the fact of the matter is she'll be raised in the gynocracy. She'll be raised not to take any cues from a man at all. She'll be taught in the ways of learning to live without men. And if you learn to live without men, you'll tend to not need them. Oh, good save there. Is that on Messi too? Wow, fair enough. Yeah. Once your first love is your father, the greater chance of you being a helpmate to a man. Not to say that it's not out of the question, but it's a pretty good precursor to one who wants to be married and one who wants to be a wife. Let's see. Let's not do this. You trigger me. Oh, father's locked up. No. Okay, I got it. Totally get it. I get it. I understand, but I'm just dealing with facts there, Chanel. I understand. I don't want to trigger you, but it's one fact that is true. So, I don't mean to say it, but it has to be said. Anyways, let's get back to this. Thank you very much for your comments. A very lively conversation already. Let's go.
You need him. You may not think you need him. And that's the most selfish part of it. You may not have needed him, but what about her? She need him because you didn't have your father. So you basically repeated it for all of your professional know-how, for all of your education, for all of the information that you've gathered, for all of your not settling, for all of you're going to do things differently than your mother did, and you did exactly what your mother did. You just went around the block to do it. You just went around the block. Because you didn't have your father. As you just said in the clip, you had to wait till you was almost 40 to meet and to observe and to communicate with your biological father. And there's a reason why you wanted to communicate with that man even after all of that time. Because there was some part of you that needed him. Even if just to see his face. Even if to get his side of the story. Why weren't you there? What happened? Because I needed you. Forget what mom needed, because she was grown. I needed you. I was your little girl. And whatever happened between you and mama, I got left behind. So there's a part of me missing. There's something in me that was not whole. Whether she have a good relationship with him or not. She needed to lay eyes on him. Because regardless of whatever the situation was or wasn't, I'm half of you. Half of you.
I could have said it better myself. Could not have said it better myself. You know, a girl's first love is her father. Always has been, always will be. A girl's first love is her father. And when her father isn't there, whether he's ostracized or whether he checks out himself, a part of her is missing. It's literally missing. And she cannot have meaningful relationships the way that a woman who has had a father in her life has had. It's like the veil has been stripped from her. And she has to deal with the realities of life. Earlier than she sees. You see how when a woman with her father in her life sees love as being so idyllic because her father's love was there, compared to those women who don't have a father in their life, how how life is more reality based, how they are more promiscuous, how they may have more psychological issues, how they may not have if strong-willed, it's not as if it's all these things. They may have a harder time in school. All these things are contributors to those without fathers, because our fathers bring structures, fathers bring foundation, fathers bring discipline, fathers bring. They just level the playing field. Unfortunately. And once you don't have that father in your life, especially when it comes to emotional, loving relationships, it's a problem. I was watching Fresh and Fit yesterday, and I was the After Hours show, and one of the ladies who was on the panel, she was, she came from a very gynocratic background. Her mom was married to a woman, a lesbian, and she had no basis for being of having a man in her life during her formative years, since she was 4 years old. And you can see that, and she told herself there was something missing. There was something missing. There lacked a balance in her life. And you can see she craved a father's love. She craved what that father's love could bring to her life. Every girl does. I don't care of what persuasion you come in on the spectrum. Every girl wants a father's love. And I think that's what's baked in the whole, when she's 18, she could see her father condition in that IVF agreement. She wanted someone there so when she became of age, she could bond with him and maybe allow her to become a better woman if no man did step in between that time. So again, what can I say? It's just reliving generational curses. To all those women who say that they don't need a man, believe me, one day you will. You will. It'll reflect in your behavior, it will reflect in your consciousness, and it will reflect in your psychological makeup. Whether you like it or not, a man is needed in one's life. It is the yin with the yang. It is the balance. And everybody's craving it. But if they don't have that balance, you can see the repercussions of it. Let's continue.
So if you needed your daddy at 40, after all that time, your mama working to break your back, she was a bus driver. You understand what I'm saying? She working, breaking her back to supply and support and maintain and take care of you and all that kind of stuff. You watched her go through the struggle. You love your mama and all of that different kind of stuff. But something was still missing. You went through school. You went through it. You're about 38. You got your career going and all that other kind of stuff. And there was something still missing in your life because your daddy wasn't there. Mm-hmm. And here you are at 50. And all you did was wait till later in life to do the exact same thing your mama did. only you skip the failed relationship portion. And somehow, is that a victory? I don't know. Because now you're bringing into the world a child. By the time that baby is 20, you're going to be 70. That man might not even be alive by the time that girl get 18. And she will have learned from you. She will have learned from you whatever ideas you have about men. And she would not have gotten no, she is in her 40s. My bad. I'm actually thinking of a couple of people. I'm thinking of Naomi Campbell. Because Naomi is how old? I forget. Yeah, Eboni is in her 40s. My bad. She is 40. So you'll be 60. That ain't a whole lot better.
No, it is not a whole lot better. No, it ain't. No, it is not. But that's the way of the world these days. And you know who you have to blame for that? Feminism, quite simply. This is going to be a hard pill to swallow, ladies, so, buckle up. Feminism has taught you that you should go for financial prosperity, for making yourself happy, before you give ever thought to a child. And that has not only set back an economy, that has set back relationships, modern relationships, to a point where now divorce rates are steadily on the rise. 80% of divorces are launched by women. That has set inflation on the rise because more people are in the workplace, and with more people in the workplace, that has set up, average prices have gone up. And not only that, we set it into relationships and into family planning to a point where women who were in their late 20s have now gone to their late 30s to have a child through IVF treatment, because you can't have it on your own. Because by the time you are, again, I've talked about this on Talk Live again, by the time you hit 30, 90% of your eggs are gone. By the time you hit 35, about 95% of your eggs are gone. And by the time you hit 40, it's pretty much game over. You need help to have kids. And with all this destructuring, and with feminism deeming men not good enough to be partners anymore, and only the top 10 to 20% deemed as acceptable to be sperm donors, we're going through a bit of an evolutionary change here. Where if you cannot protect, if you cannot provide, if you cannot procreate, if you cannot problem solve, and if you're not a Chad, Tyrone, or a high value man, you're in trouble. You'll be left out of the sexual marketplace. So a whole swath of men are out of here. When there are perfectly good men out there who would love to be fathers, but women aren't choosing them anymore. They're not. Why? Because of one reason. Feminism. Deeming men not good enough for the family planning process. And so you get the modern woman endgame, because the modern woman is steeped in feminism. She is steeped in the women's movement. She believes that she can be single, independent, and not need a man. Until she realizes, oh yeah, I need a man for procreation. Now I need to get, well, sperm because I can't have babies on my own. Until you realize, holy cow, this whole society was built by men. Until you realize that guy I passed up on, maybe I should have considered him when I had the chance, when I was at my youngest and my hottest. He may not have been perfect, but he would have been stable. He would have been stable. But it's just the musings of a man, so you can just consider it fodder, really. Let's let the woman tell it. Yeah, maybe she will provide the answers. Let me get a few comments here. We need to go back to Canadian values. Well, we need to go back to patriarchal values. I would say it better. We need to go back to the days when men led households. And women didn't deem it upon themselves independent enough to say that they can run them. Because you can see where society is now. But again, musings of a man, but again, thank you, Chanel, because you have done, okay, if you can do it with no support, you can do it with no support. But at the end of the day, wouldn't it have been better to have support along the way? But anyways, I've talked too much. Let's let the woman tell it, because once the woman tells it, then it's official. So let's get going.
Naomi is 54. So by the time that baby 20, you're going to be 60. Hopefully you'll be healthy. Healthy enough to watch her continue in her adulthood. You don't know what that's going to do to that girl, not having no father. It might do to her what it did to you. Hyper-focused on your education, hyper-focused on your profession, hyper-focused on your independence, not settling. Because Eboni, what can you teach her about how to maintain? Because the only way she gonna do things better than you did is if she do things differently than you did. So she can't wait until she's 40 and then decide, let me go ahead and unfreeze my eggs so I can have kids because I never secured a healthy marriage. What can you teach this girl about men other than don't settle and don't do this and don't do that? But that girl need her daddy. And there's a part of him that wants to father, like not just donate the sperm, but wants to father a child. There's a part of him that wants that. And the loser is the girl. Because she's going to look for that other half. And she may be able to put together a relationship, and it may end up a good relationship with her father, depending on how that goes. But it's still going to be missing, because where was he in her formative years when his system, order, and structure and the balance of his masculinity to your femininity would have done her a world of good. And she would have been able to strike the balance between being educated, knowing how to take care of herself, knowing how to function in the world, but also knowing how to maintain her end of a healthy relationship. And I don't know why that's impossible or undesirable to be done.
I didn't even hear this part of the segment. I was just going on the top of the dome. And she literally said what I said. Literally. Word for word, said what I said. Men bring balance. Men bring stability. Men bring structure. Men bring order. Men bring foundation to any relationship. Women seem to have forgotten that over the last 50 years. Totally forgotten about that. Because they thought they could do it alone. No. There's a reason why God put a man and a woman on this earth. To bring the species forward, but to balance ourselves out within the auspices of a relationship. We seem to have gotten away from that during the women's movement, feminist, alphabet gang era. Got away from that. And this led us here. To the point where Eboni K. Williams is carrying on tradition, ladies and gentlemen. She's carrying on the modern women endgame. To its denouement. To its conclusion. To its climax. No Diddy. And it could have all been so simple, all been so different, if, in the words of the Godfather himself, she got herself a matchmaker, she got herself a dating coach, she got herself a counselor, some therapy, and humbled herself. And realized, I don't have all the answers. I don't know all the rules. Despite my accomplishments in life, as she so eloquently puts it. And maybe, just maybe, I need help. But pride comes before a fall. It comes before a fall, people. And it's here where pride definitely came to pass before that fall. And here's the fall. Here's the end game. Now again, as Lana BK says, we are also talking about child rearing as if this mom is about to be on food stamps not taking care of her child. This baby will be loved and taken care of. Yes, she will be loved and well taken care of, but she will not have a man in her life. So she will not be able to form positive relationships with men. Maybe. But going on the track record, probably not. Because it's 2 generations now we're into where this woman could not form and keep heterosexual relationship with a man. Couldn't do it. Can't do it. So although what you say is plausible, the fact of the matter is there's a reason why all these men that she was dating rejected her, or vice versa. The fact of the matter is, her father wasn't there in her life to start the structure, to create the foundation. We say again, would you suggest that Eboni isn't deserving of motherhood? She is deserving of motherhood. All I'm saying is that she is carrying on tradition. Would you concede that point? Because this is now the second generation in which she has said, she's accomplished, she's this, she's that, whatever. She has gone on record to say, I deserve a man of a certain standard, and no man's coming. I'm not saying she's deserving of motherhood. I'm just saying that motherhood will come at a price. If you catch my drift. Because there's 2 generations in, and it's the same story. Right? That's why she put that clause in there at 18. You best meet your daddy. Because maybe that will change things for you, my child. But we can only do so much. We can only say so much. Because the modern woman will think that the world is wrong and I am right. And centuries of tradition need to be thrown out the window for a new formula. But at the end of the day, there's a reason why the formula still remains in existence to this day to great effect. Because it works. Because it works. Because it works.
She don't be making sense. The part that got me, the reason why I wanted to talk about this was that it don't make no sense. All of that effort, and you could have been putting it in securing that girl's father for real in a relationship so that he can be with her. You passed on a generational curse. And you're not going to do nothing but create a clone of yourself with that girl. So she going to do the same thing because she thinks that's the right way. She thinks that that is a safe way. She thinks that that's the way that she needs to go. And if mom was able to do it and I turned out okay, then I should be able to do the same thing and I should turn out okay. That's how we get to 4-5 generations of females with that hyper independent mindset and cannot find it in themselves to actually have men. Speaking of,
that's a very important point she raised. I would say 5 generations. I'm going to say 3 generations because again, it started with baby boomers, then it went to Gen X, well, it's into the 4th generation, really. Gen X, then it went to millennials, and now it's in zennials. Hyper-independent women. I keep saying this, 50% of women will be single by the time 2030 hits. 50% of Western women will be single. That's all women, not just African diaspora women. All women will be independent. Why? Because the feminist mindset has taken hold, taken shape, and literally, I'm sorry to say this, cover your ears now, I'll give a warning, the gynocracy is in its pump, and it will be not changed at this point in time. And as a result, many women are going about it alone, meaning no meaningful relationships are starting. Many men are taking it out of the equation, so they don't want to be a top part of the dating process. And guess what? Birth rates will be dropping. You heard it. Birth rates will start dropping. It's already starting to drop now in certain countries like South Korea and Japan. It's coming here soon. Well, actually, it's already here. It just hasn't hit so sizably. But don't worry. In the next few years, you'll find that out. That will be found out. And quite simply, women have to take it on the chin on this one. They're part of the reason why we're here. Part of the reason, not going to say the whole reason, part of the reason why we are here. You made choices in the dating markets. You've made choices in terms of family planning. You've made choices in terms of your life that have brought us here. And a typical example is Eboni K. Williams. She thought she'd beat generational curses, but that was not the case. That was not the case. So here we are again. Canada lost 2-0 to Argentina. Okay, that's fine. We knew that was coming. So let's continue with this. And don't take my word for it. The Kims and Cures saying the same thing.
Naomi. A single Naomi Campbell. Listen. A single Naomi Campbell confirms she welcomed her 2 children via surrogates and don't believe they need a father to help out. While recently speaking with the Times UK, iconic supermodel confirms she welcomed both of her children via surrogates. In her interview, she self-identified as a single mom who has yet to reveal the names of her babies, a daughter and a son. Okay. And you knew she was going to get a non-black donor because just from the back, these babies look mixed.
Don't get it twisted about Naomi Campbell. Naomi Campbell has a, underlying hatred for black men. I think it's because her mother drummed that into her. And she has grown up with that idea. Now, she will date a black man, but at the end of the day, she was not going to end up with him because, again, it was already part of the sauce of her upbringing. An overall hatred of black men, an overall hatred of men, period, to a point where now she is a self-confessed single mother. There she is. Right here on Talk Talk Live. You can see it live. Now, again, the children are not identified, as Crimson Cure said, but we all knew that this would be the final end. Yes, this is Modern Woman Endgame Part 2, featuring Eboni K. Williams, and as special guest, we have Naomi Campbell. One of the most beautiful women in the world, but no man wants her on a long-term basis. You'll find out soon why. But if you've followed her career, if you've followed her life, you pretty much know. Pretty much know. Let's continue.
So, no matter how successful these women become, no matter how beautiful they are, no matter how the world clamors after them, how wealthy,
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back for part 2 in just a
They
minute.
can go anywhere.
This
They
hasn't
can
happened for a
travel,
while,
they
but
can-
again, we'll
you
be
know.
back soon in Talk Talk Live part 2. Talk Talk Live on Instagram. We'll still be going live
Naomi
on
Campbell
YouTube.
was a whole
Stay with us. We'll be
supermodel.
right back.
At 54, she's still in supermodel shape. She can get on a runway right now. A whole attitude. She can't keep no man. She can't have no man, white, black, or otherwise, because Naomi looked like she wouldn't have went for a black man. She looked like she wanted a white man. She couldn't be Mrs. Cartwright either. Because as fine as she is, aging backwards.
Welcome back to Talk Talk Live. Let me just stop this for a second. I'm going to rewind this for a little bit because this part is quite important. Welcome back to Talk Talk Live on IG and YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment on the road to 1,000 subscribers. One of the few times this has happened in a while is the fact that my Instagram has reset pretty much on in terms of showtime. So again, we're having a part 2 of Modern Woman Endgame Part 2. Like, subscribe, comment on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Yes, we are back and we are live here. So, yes, I want you. We're focused. We had the last hour focused on Eboni K. Williams. This hour we're focusing on Naomi Campbell and the fact that she has recently mothered 2 young daughters through surrogacy. Well, I wouldn't say surrogacy, through IVF treatment, and. Yes, it is by white men. But again, we know about Naomi Campbell's deep-seated hatred for black men, period. Even though she'll date them, even though she will, commingle with them, but at the end of the day, she will not marry them, but she well, as I said, it was baked in the actual cake that she wanted nothing to do with a black man going forward, because again, she had a deep-seated hatred for him, and that was built in by her mother, her single mother. So she's carrying on tradition, ladies and gentlemen. But I'll let Crimson Cure add to the discussion here. Thank you very much for joining me on Talk Talk Live Part 2. And we're focusing on Naomi Campbell this time around and why she chose to become a single mom.
She can't have no man, white, black, or otherwise, because Naomi looked like she wouldn't have went for a black man. She looked like she wanted a white man. She couldn't be Mrs. Cartwright either. Because as fine as she is, aging backwards. She could only get half of her life. She can only get half of it. The children have, because that's easy. Wife is hard because that takes sacrifice of a different nature than it is for kids. Because you got to sacrifice yourself for another adult, and they never love a man as much as they love children.
Big point there by Eboni K. She literally nailed it on the head. For life with a child is different from life as a wife. Way different. Where life with a child, you're in control. With life with a man, usually the man is. Or at least it's a 50-50 relationship. But you have to live by the 5 tenets of a high-value woman: being fit, feminine, friendly, cooperative, submissive. And the last 2, cooperation and submissiveness, are keys to becoming a great wife. Keys. And do these modern women want that? No, they don't. They literally don't. They don't. So they go with this independent, single independent, don't need no man mindset to the end game, where they have their own kids under their own auspices and feeding it and indoctrinating them with these certain truths that turn out to be not so prosperous, especially if you are not in a career that is well earning. So, what are we to do? What are we indeed to do? Because again, if women don't listen, you can lead a woman to walk. Woman, you can lead. It's like the old saying: you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. You can offer them examples, but I say the one true example is having a man in the house regularly. The one true example is having a man in the house regular. And if that additive is not there, this can be the conclusion. And usually is. Usually it is. More often than not, this is the conclusion. I'm not saying that there aren't any success stories. Yes, some women get it from the start, but a lot of women don't. And that is why the numbers are coming through of how many single women there will be in the next 10 years. And how many single mother endgames this will replicate over time. Because women don't want to live under the auspices of a man. They don't. They literally don't. A lot of women don't. And it'll turn out to be problematic for them. But let's continue. For a lot of them.
The children don't require anything but her presence. Or so they believe. They believe children don't require anything aside from their presence, and that children can't judge them, and that children can't hold them accountable to any standard. So they're able to sort of do whatever they want to do. But being a wife, you can't do that. The man can hold you to a standard and a level of accountability. You have to check yourself. You have to contain yourself. You just can't do whatever and maintain a relationship. It requires more than just your presence. And that's what they can't handle.
An excellent point made there by Ebony K. We have a question here. Did you compare women to horses? No, I did not compare women to horses. No, I stopped myself short of comparing women to horses. No. Women are not horses. Let me say that. Please, let me say that. They are not horses. Women are not horses. But what women are not willing to be cooperative to men, to be submissive to men, to have men check them and their attitude at the door. A lot of women want to blow through that and say they can do it on their own. But rearing a child on your own, as women will say, is hard. So what would you rather? Your child having help with rearing that child from another man who gives you system, order, structure, and gives them procreation, protection, provision, and problem solving? Or you can be not accountable and you can do it on your own, under your own terms. More often than not, that's not the recipe for success. Literally isn't. Sooner or later, a man's got to come into that life. Sooner or later. That man's got to be there. Still, it's true. The amount of women who come up to me and ask me how I can show male role models to their kids, especially their male kids, is staggering, especially these days. You usually have about 2 or 3 women, 4 or 5 women every year come up to me and ask me, Elliot, my son is becoming a teenager. Elliot, my daughter's becoming a young lady. I want her to have a future fruitful relationship, especially with the men, especially with the boys. I want to have a fruitful relationship with my man, but I'm bad terms with my ex. I don't want to work it out with him. How can I get some real role models into this person's young man or young woman's life? When she could have easily, and I do mean easily, humbled herself and realized that, you know what, it's happened, and it's going to take two to make this go right. Yes, it's just like the old song says, it takes two to make a thing go right. It takes two to make it out of sight. Yeah, I'm aging myself. But it's so true. It takes two. But we went away from that. Especially in the feminist era, where they thought, you know what, I can be everything. I can be a superwoman. No, you can't. No man nor woman is an island. A lot of men, well, I would say most men realize that, but a lot of women don't, especially in this gynocratic era. So many women are so arrogant with it, so privileged with it, they can say to themselves, you know what? When asked the question, if you need men, they'll say no. Until they actually do. But the modern woman will always say no, to a point where now it's a case where I'm Naomi Campbell, I'm Eboni K. Williams, I am big, strong, tough, I don't need men, and, well, I'm doing it on my own, and to an end where, well, it's stunning, really. It really is. Let's continue.
And it can't just say it's the choice of black men. It's the choice of you had your pick of every man. Naomi has been all over the world as a model. She's rubbed shoulders and elbows with so many different men in the industry, outside the industry.
Yes.
I'm sure the men wanted to sleep with her because she's pretty, but couldn't tolerate her because Naomi is mean. Naomi is mean. Naomi is arrogant and haughty and mean. She got a nasty little attitude. That's what go around about her. She got an attitude. A whole attitude problem.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why can't nobody get with her. Cause the beauty wear off real fast when I can't talk to you. When you just got an attitude for no reason. So you just got an attitude for no reason. You got a pretty privileged attitude. But that's what it seemed like she would have. No. Why would I want? Get that away from me. You know, real ticky. Everything is a problem. How could you think that I was going to go for that? And that kind of foolishness. Can't never just relax. Can't relax. Relax. Just be you. Don't nobody want to deal with the facade. Don't nobody want to deal with the extra bougie, nobody want to deal with all that. When we behind closed doors, be you.
A very good point raised by Eboni K. in that, listen, her attitude was on steroids, quite simply. Naomi's attitude was single, independent woman, modern woman on steroids. And I mean a copious amount. And I mean Olympia level steroid attitude. She was. I remember that case. She was here in Toronto during the TIFF festival where she laid hands on her assistant. She had to be brought to court. She had to pay a fine. She had to settle out of court because she had a nasty attitude. And it was notorious in the fashion industry. Notorious she had a bad attitude. And it was notorious in her dating life. She didn't tolerate nonsense. She wasn't friendly at all. She may have been fit. Well, was she feminine? No, totally masculine. Was she cooperative? No, definitely not. Was she submissive? Hell no. That's why no man would stay with her. No man wanted her. No man wanted to stay with her. No. Don't want to take that attitude. Not black, not white, not Muslim, not Hispanic, not anyone. Anybody who dated her. Nobody wanted her. Nobody wanted to stay with her. And there was a parallel between her and Eboni K. Williams. Both were arrogant. Now, both were fiercely independent. Both were very entitled. Extremely entitled. Where they thought the world owed them something. Because of my looks, because of who I date, because of the circles that I run around, I'm deserving of a certain amount of airs and graces. A certain amount of privileges. She relied on pretty privilege. There it is. Enough said. To a point where no man wanted to deal with these two women. They didn't want to do it. They didn't want to do it. Because they know if they had to deal with this on a long-term basis, their life would have been made hell. But that's modern women endgame right there. Where you're so independent, where you're so uncooperative, where you're so unsubmissive, where you're so unfriendly, where you're so unfeminine, no man wants to be around you. As fit as you are, as beautiful as you look. No man want to be with you. No. There's a certain amount, okay, sounds like a lot of Insta model men and women. You know what? A lot of Insta model women, yes, but for manhood, here's the thing. Thank you for the comment there, Lana BK. Only in terms of pickup artists, men have a certain amount of success. Let me say that. The Chads, the Tyrones, absolutely, they do have a certain amount of success. But it's because there are so many women around them that they can make the choice of, I don't need you, oh, I don't need you, oh, I don't need this, that, and the other. That they can be more selective in their choice. But they're not, some can be arrogant in their choice, but not to a point where you don't end up with a woman at the end of the day. More often than not, these guys end up with a woman because they have some sort of, airs and grace. Well, I wouldn't say airs and grace. They have a certain amount of, money. They have a certain amount of good looks. They have a certain amount of charm, wit available to them that indeed they can get away with it, and they can be, as long as they can be a protector and provider, they can get into relationship and to marriage, because men usually dictate they usually are the gatekeepers to the gateway between two relationships and marriage. So most of these guys usually end up married. However, with a lot of these women with these traits, they end up alone because no man wants to deal with them at the end of the day, unless they're total simps, and these women disagree with them in the first place, so they'll leave them rather than these women will leave them rather than the men leaving these women. Very good point. And indeed, there can be in some men and women who are arrogant to a point of no person not working on small scales, and no person wanting to deal with them on a long-term basis. Absolutely. But since men form the basis of relationships, they usually end on their feet. With women, it's a different story. It's a different story. I mean, to a certain extent, certain women are married if you are beautiful enough, but a lot of women are just left on the doorstep because there are more women out there. There are more fish in the sea. So he said, we can just cast that one out. We'll always get another one back, especially if you are a Chad Tyrone or a high-value man. They'll always cast one out because there's always a supply. As there are for men, but women have different standards than men. Way different standards. Let's continue with this.
They never think their time is up. She still don't think she hit the wall. She well past the wall. And not that she got ugly. It's just that her value dropped so low as a woman. They don't be believing it. When they be pretty like that, a lot of times they don't be believing they stock drop. Your stock drop.
Yeah.
Your stock drop. It dropped, baby. It dropped bad too. You just don't know.
A good point raised by Crimson Cure right there. Her stock did drop too low. The 3 pillars of womanhood being let me rephrase this. I just lost my train of thought. There are 3 pillars of womanhood being beauty, fertility, and age. Those 3 things. She's 53 now, so 2 of those things are gone. Her age and her fertility are gone. They're literally gone. She still has her beauty. No doubt, Naomi Campbell has her beauty. She'll always have the beauty, but the men realize that she's 53. She can't have kids on her own anymore. It's going to cost to put this woman through IVF to have children. Add that to a bad attitude, nobody wants to deal with that. So that's why she went on her own. That's exactly why she went on her own. Eboni K, she had the 3 pillars herself. She had beauty, fertility, age on their side. 2 of those pillars were taken away now. Age and fertility. All she has is a bit of beauty, but that's fading. Put that on top of her attitude, and she's not a nice woman. She's arrogant to a fault. Nobody wants to deal with that, so that's why she has to strike out on her own. Especially the ones that she wants to deal with. No, those men don't want to deal with her. No matter how much money she has, because we don't care about money. We don't care about money. We care about you not being a pain in the ass. If you're not a pain in the ass, chances are you'll do good, especially if you have good looks on your side. But if you're a pain in the ass, we don't want to deal with you. Sorry. We don't. Especially if it's going to cost us $10,000 a shot.
Because you can still book a runway show, that's just nostalgia. At that point, you got seniority, and by you still being in model shape, you're a big name in the fashion industry. So yeah, of course you can walk. You can still walk for the big name designers and all of that. But maybe your value done drop so bad as a woman, just as a woman, and they never are able to distinguish them things. They be thinking that if they value stay up in their profession or whatever, then that corresponds with their value as a woman, and it does not. Because the value of women is never judged on how much money we have and how much status we have. Men, that's a masculine measuring stick. That's not a feminine measuring stick. That's
right.
Not how we measure women.
That's right.
Women are not. We don't get together and be like, girl, you ain't got no money. You know what I'm saying? Unless you just a bum. That's the only time we'll bring that up. Like, girl, you ain't even stable. I ain't arguing with no chick that's got to stay in an extended stay. Girl, we'll bring that up if she just a bum. Other than that, women don't be bringing up money as a status of the, you know what I'm saying? I told you what we judge each other on: beauty, how ugly or pretty, and what kind of man you be pulling. What kind of man do you pull? And what do he do for you?
Indeed. We have different scales. We have different barometers of how we judge men and women. With men, yes, it's all about how much resources a man can procure in order to raise a family, in order to keep a wife. Yes, that is a standard that men have to adhere to, not the other way around. Just because you're a woman with money doesn't mean you'll keep a man. No. You still have to be fit. You have to be feminine, friendly, cooperative, submissive. That is all a part of it. As said by the one and only Godfather. But what also needs to be taken into account is the fact that, a lot of these men are checking out because of these ads. They're literally checking out. They're saying, well, I don't want to deal with a woman. I don't want to deal with women, period. The MGTOW group. Men go their own way. They're literally checking out. They're saying, unless I find a woman who adheres to my social structure, we're checking out. And women are, let me tell you something, women are bricking it. They realize that they've taken feminism too far. Way too far. And men are checking out. And they are upset. And men are becoming passport bros. And they are upset. Women are upset because they want somebody from a third world country. Because they want to get uneducated women from that part of the world. Which, well, is racist in and of itself. But there you go. So all these things have different sort of ramifications, and all women need to do is act like they would with their boss. If you acted with men the way you would with your boss, a male boss in particular, you know how many families would be out there right now? Just saying. Just saying. We're going to finish this up very soon. We're going to wrap this up in a bit. We've gone over an hour, but thank you very much for joining me at Talk Live. Like, subscribe, comment on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Sponsored by DunTalk, DUNTLK.com. Let's just finish things up here.
So I just found it interesting that this is the boss chick. This is what the end of the boss chick line looked like. It's sad. It's sad.
Modern women Endgame, boss chick Endgame, same thing. Interchangeable.
They gotta go and get a surrogate or unfreeze them eggs and try to scramble them up into a kid real quick to try to get some semblance of a family life, a home life, so they don't be too lonely as they get old. I don't understand why baby mama-ism is unavoidable to y'all. Like, why y'all do that? And it's still the generational curse, because in this little article or whatever, Naomi was talking about how she was her mama was a single mama.
Second generation single mother. Guess what's going to happen to those kids? Chances are, guys. Chances are. Just saying. Chances are.
Her mama was a single mama. Perpetuated, no matter how successful, no matter where she went in the world, no matter what she did, no matter what she learned, no matter what she saw, no matter how she networked, no matter the people she knew, no matter what was going on, she still perpetuated a generational curse. And the girl she raising gonna be a baby mama.
Yep.
9 times out of 10.
There it is.
After these messages, we'll be right.
We will be right here, and thank you very much to my girl, Crimson Cure. Subscribe to this woman. This girl has done wonderful things on the YouTube street. She's over 100,000 subscribers. Please subscribe to Crimson Cure. Thank you very much for being on the show, Crimson. That first half hour is just gold dust. It literally is gold dust. That's all that needs to be said. Let me just bring it back to the full cam here. Seeing any more messages, and we'll go back to the full cam. Yes, I think we're good to go with regards to closing statements. Here's the thing, guys. What Eboni K. Williams and Naomi Campbell has shown us is the way. It is the new way in which we will deal with modern relationships these days. Especially with women. Most men will check out. Most men will not save these girls. They won't. They literally won't. It is an example of, and I heard this example from Myron from Fashion Fit last night on his After Hours show, and where he was, basically he compared modern women to strong men lifting bags down the road. If you're a strong man lifting a bag down the road, well, nobody's going to help you because you don't look like you need the help. If you're an old lady and it looks like you're having trouble with the bags, chances are you're going to get help. But if you're a strong man lifting bags that, quite simply, you don't look like you need help with, no one's going to come and help you. No one's going to come and help you. And for a lot of these modern women, no one's coming to help you anymore. Chivalry is dead and women killed it. Simple as that. It's done out here. And men aren't tolerating the modern woman anymore. And this will be the end game. And this will be the curse that will follow a lot of these women. A lot. Not all, but a lot. A lot of these women will end up alone, carrying child, and it will go on from generation to generation until a balance is reestablished. Until a balance has been reestablished. And that is reinstating the yin and the yang and bringing men back into the household and thus returning to some traditional aspect of marriage and family planning. Because as you can see, Naomi and Eboni are second generational baby mamas. Something that the first baby mama tried so hard to rid themselves of and to change their lives of their daughters in order to give them a better life. But at the end of the day, they came up with the same life. They came up with the same life. They came up with the same life. That is going to IVF, having their own babies, and living on their own terms without a man. Because they never learned to live with a man. They never learned to love a man. They never had a father as their first love. So they never knew love in the first place. Love was always transactional, never emotional. And that's a shame. That's a literal shame. That's a shame that will more often than not, carrying to the next generation, unless women are willing to cooperate, submit, be fit, feminine, and friendly for. Then you'll see changes in things. Then you'll see a world where, well, birth rates will go up rather than down. But these are cautionary tales, Ebony K. Williams and Naomi Campbell. And if you choose to listen, so be it. But at the end of the day, if you don't, men will treat you like a muscled individual with bags. Leave you alone. And allow for the modern woman Endgame to fulfill the prophecy. Thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live. Thank you very much. It was a good hour and a half. Good discussion the first hour especially. That was excellent. We'll be back tomorrow night. Yes, we're going to be back tomorrow night for show number 2, in which we'll be discussing how, well, a lady of the, an adult entertainer wants to become a wife, and her steps to become that wife. Her steps to become that wife, ladies and gentlemen. It is quite the I wouldn't say hilarious tale, but you know, it's sort of a melancholy sort of, well, it's sort of a sad sort of tale, I'll say. It's sort of a sad sort of tale, because this could have all been avoided, but, you know, we have to tell the story so that others can learn from this mistake. So thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live. We'll be back tomorrow night with that story, and it will be a nice portion to talk to. So look out for our listings. We're going to get our Talk Live minutes. I've got them backlogged. I got them backstocked, and they're ready to go. So I will be putting them out in over the next couple of days anyways, because we've been missing those. I'm actually starting to see those actually trending on YouTube. So I'm very, very excited about that. And I've seen my numbers go up on YouTube in terms of subscribers. So like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, people. Thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live. More changes to come within the studio. I'm still cognizant of that. I have already got a few things in mind. A few stocks in mind. They are coming. They are coming. So just be patient, and we'll be there. But thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live. Like, subscribe, comment on the road to 1,000 subscribers. And we're going to say goodnight to Instagram. And good night from Toronto, Instagram. Thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live on YouTube. We are back tomorrow night with that story. And it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a very, very good one. So stick around for that. How a hoe tries to become a housewife. That is the name of the story. Well, it's the running title. It is the working title. So again, I look forward to telling that story tomorrow night, and it's going to be a doozy. So stick around for that, and look forward to speaking to you tomorrow night. And thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live. And good night.